Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the STIHL TimberSports Arena for our 2023 Great British Women's Championships on this very stage. My name's Alex. I am your host and MC for the next hour or so, as we are going to see our top British athletes and a guest from Italy performing on this very stage. If you've not seen timber sports before, you are in for a high-octane treat. Chainsaws, axes, it's all going to go off on this stage. Now, to make the event run smoothly, we need the very technical, the very precise judges, and we are welcoming all the way from the Netherlands. Please give it up for Mr. Bart Jansen. So Bart will make sure all the cuts are good, and if there's not, we don't want any disqualifications, but that could well happen today. But Bart is here to keep us all safe, keep us all in check. Now, speed, endurance, discipline, strength is the name of the game. Also, it's a bit like our VAR, we have a video judge, and we welcome, he's sat in a little truck somewhere, I think this side. We have Mr. Jules Jansen, Bart's son, who is presiding over the action replays and making sure everything's okay. Yeah, Jules is also giving us a wave from his vantage point in the truck. But without further ado, let's welcome our top athletes to the stage. Please welcome, first up, our guest from Italy. Please welcome Marta Poletti. Next up, we have Libby Arrowsmith. Libby's a student and keen photographer looking to make her mark this year. Next up, it is Sarah Cox, bronze medalist last year in our first ever championships, history in the making. She skydived over the Great Pyramids of Egypt, but today this is going to be her biggest challenge. Welcome on, Martine Arrowsmith. Martine said this just proves anyone can get involved, and she is going up against her daughter, Libby. Malvern, please welcome onto the stage Justine Narusa. Justine's a keen hiker and paddleboarder in her native North Wales. She's got a family here supporting her as well, much like our athletes here on stage. Now, please welcome Dee Hardwick. Dee lives life to the full. She's going to get stuck into this event today. Local lass from Redditch in Worcestershire. Good morning, Dee. Next up, please welcome Kat Eccles. Kat's an arborist from Ayrshire in Scotland. She's got a few friends and family cheering her on here as well, all the way from Scotland. Next up, Beth Parker. Beth is an educational psychologist from Southport. She got engaged recently in the Scottish Highlands to fiancé Lloyd, who's here today. And finally, our final athlete from Knighton in Wales, such a proud tradition of timber sports in Wales, our current British female champion, it's Zoe Penlington. Now, as I say, if you've not seen timber sports before, you are in for a massive treat this morning. And to talk us through it and educate us all, it's the one and only, my favourite Canadian, Mr. Troy Mannering. Good morning, Troy.
Good morning, Alex. I think I'm the only Canadian you know, isn't that true? Alex is going to be joining me here over in the studio shortly. We've got a great competition lined up for you today. Before we get going, let's check out this competition format for our lovely women on stage here today.
The STIHL TimberSports Women's Competition. All athletes will compete in 3 disciplines. The maximum points awarded for each discipline result from the number of participating athletes. The first discipline is the stock saw. The fastest athlete will receive points equal to the total number of athletes competing, down to 1 point for the last place in each discipline. The second event is the single buck. Points remain the same, awarded based on the times, and as with all events, any rule infraction will result in a disqualification, and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. In the final discipline, the underhand chop, it's the athlete's last chance to claim valuable points. The points from all disciplines are accumulated, and the athlete with the highest points total wins the competition.
Okay, Troy, we're just about ready to get underway with the first of our disciplines. It's the stock saw. By no means the biggest chainsaw in the steel range.
Nope.
But one you've got to get a handle of. Let's have a look how it pans out.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional steel technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
This is the start list for the stock saw. 9 athletes will have 5 heats. And our first athlete, Dee, in heat 1, she'll fly solo with the stock saw. Then heat 2 sees Kat Eccles and Libby Arrowsmith. And then we've got heats 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, you can hear the cheers over our shoulder.
Some
what
fans.
better way to kick off our second ever British Women's Championship than with Dee Hardwick and a chainsaw.
Yeah. I mean, the power packet's always very upbeat and outgoing and energetic. Dee Hardwick will be getting ready up there on stage all by herself, unfortunately. But she says that's okay with her. She's all about getting through this block with 2 clean cookies as quickly as possible.
Yeah, this is Dee's favoured event.
Okay, warm up your saw.
Easy start there for Dee, warming up the saw. This is a hot start event. She'll give it 1 trigger pull to get that chain moving, and she is ready to go.
Athlete ready.
Nice clean start from Dee there, getting the first cookie settled. Oh, she's got a bit of a cutout. That might cause her a problem, though. And if she didn't notice that, she's going to have to go back and cut another cookie. She did see it. Looks like she's going to cut another one to be safe. She's got a smart move right there, making sure she's got 2 cookies on the deck. 19.10 for Dee. Marked as a personal best on screen there, even with a 3rd cookie having to be cut. But it was a very good idea. Now she just has to make sure she did not cut over the line. Let's find out from Bart Janssen here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the cut's good.
I tell you, there's extra emphasis in those fist pumps from Dee because
Yes.
she was disqualified last year. I didn't want to give it the commentator's curse before the event,
Yeah.
Troy, but there's that emotion coming out there, raw emotion from Dee.
Let's take one more look at the slow-mo here now. Our camera panned up really quickly, but we saw in that very first cut, she had a bit of a cutout there. What that means is that the saw bar and the chain went outside, and you have to have a complete cookie on the deck in order for it to count. She was smart enough and noticed it and went back up and cut a 3rd cookie that killed her time, so her time could have even been potentially much faster by 2-3 seconds. And yeah, she noticed it. She had the 3rd cookie on the deck, so she has got her time locked in and no disqualification as we get ready for our next heat.
Yeah, and the next heat is here. Kat Eccles, stage left. Libby Arrowsmith, just 16 years old. Fantastic to see Libby in this championship.
She's up there on stage as well. Her mom will be coming out, so it's the first time we have a mother-daughter combination competing here. It's nice to see, keeping it in the family, as they say. Kat Eccles got support as well. You mentioned earlier on in the audience out there.
Okay, warm up your saw. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by Libby Aerosmith and Kat Eccles, both pretty evenly matched up here as that first cookie drops. Nice transition, a bit of a thicker cookie by Libby, and they're both going to come out, wow, really close to the top, but Kat Eccles has a 12.57, and that means that will give her a national record here.
As long as Bart's happy.
As long as Bart's happy. That previously belonged to Beth Parker, but Beth has yet to cut today, so let's see if that drops twice. Good run by both of these women, though.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cats are good.
Nicely done. So it's confirmed Libby Aerosmith actually is the one with the national record after the adjustment's been made in the competition control center. Kat Eccles just 1800ths of a second back with a personal best, and Dee Hardwick started things off for us. She also has a personal best. This was a fantastic set of cuts by both of these, and it could have gone either way. Look how close this was. And there you can see, yeah, Libby with the quicker cookie on that upstroke. Beautiful job by Libby Aerosmith to take a national record here in Stocksaw. Nicely done. And there's a view of the grounds here. It's a lovely day. It's not too hot. It has been very, very hot here the last couple of days. And it's nice conditions for the competition today.
All right, folks, we're ready with Heat 3. Sarah Cox and Justine Narusa to take the stand.
And there you saw the personal best for Justine Narusa on the hero picture of 15.98. Sarah Cox been working hard at this discipline to try and improve. Personal best for her, 20.57. The wood has been cutting very well this weekend, though, so
Okay.
we should see some good times here. I saw Justine practicing her lift and placement earlier on in the back lot, so she is focused here. Sarah Cox was right there with her doing the same thing. So all of these women backstage helping each other out and making sure there's improvement through the ranks.
Ready.
And that's
Stand
nice to see.
to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Sarah Cox on the left, Justine Narusa on the right. Both of them starting nicely. Oh, but a little bit of a cutout there by, I believe that's Sarah Cox, but she repositioned and got that first cookie complete on the deck. Nice transition to the upcut. Narusa, oh my goodness, another national record goes down by the wayside. And we have a personal best for Sarah Cox. Nice improvements all across the board. 12.02 for Justine. And Sarah with a 16.13. Massive improvement for Sarah and a national record now for Justine. This is going to be an interesting day as Bart takes a close look at Sarah Cox's cookie there, which she did have a cutout, but she did reposition and recut. Bart's going to be a busy man up there, going from stand to stand, checking all the lines. And what he's doing there is he's making sure that there's no cut over the line, because that would qualify as a DQ.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cats are good.
Nicely done. Big congratulations for those two women on stage, and we see improvement across the board here.
These girls are on fire this morning.
Absolutely. It's amazing to see. I mean, the first time that we had the competition for the women here was last year, and you could see marked improvement across the board for all of these women, really focusing. And here's the first cut from Sarah. You can see there's the cutout. She realized it after the saw disappeared in, repositioned, and that counts as a complete cookie, even with the chop at the top, and Bart let it go. This is a beautiful thin cut there by Justine Narusa. That second cookie was so thin, and they say thin to win is important. Bit of an angle there, came close to the line at the top for Sarah, but she got it done.
All right, Heat 4 of the Stocksaw. Our reigning champ, Zoe Penlington. First time on stage today, alongside Martine Arrowsmith.
Both of them pretty evenly matched up on the tail of the tape, but as we've seen today, there's been some really excellent performances, so perhaps we'll see this as well with these two women on stage in heat number 4. Zoe Penlington, your reigning women's champion, so she's back to try and defend. But already in the start of the day, it looks like there is going to be some heavy competition going up against her.
Absolutely. I mean, I've got a sneaky feeling there's going to be a couple more PBs tumbling down here. Let's see.
I always like to see those personal best fall. It just means there's improvement, and that's great.
That's very connected. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, very nice start by both Martine and Zoe. Zoe struggling to get that first cut started off. Martine Aerosmith already on the upcut there. Zoe having to transition. She's got a cutout on the upcut as well. She's in a bit of trouble here. So personal best for Martine Aerosmith with a 14.16, and that right there is going to be a DQ for Zoe Penlington on an incomplete cookie. That's unfortunate. I'm a little bit surprised that she didn't go back and cut another one just to get a time in the box.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Stand 2 is good. Stand 1, DQ is an incomplete disc.
All right, that's an unfortunate start for Zoe Penlington, and she definitely expected more from herself on that one. So she's going to have an uphill battle now. And here we see Martine. Her second cut came very close to the line. That's why Bart was over there looking so carefully at it, but she managed to stay inside of that 10-centimeter marker. And here's where we see the angle of the bar for Zoe was just a little bit too out to the front, and she cut out, and these cookies need to be complete. So also, you asked me yesterday if there's a disturbing moment with when something happens with the cookie, and that is the one time that it happens is the cookie lands there and leans up against the block when they have to transition and make the upcut. So it can sometimes put you off a little bit, and that's what we saw that happened with Zoe, I think.
Right, heat 5. Beth Parker from Southport, alongside Marta Paletti, our guest athlete from Northern Italy.
Beth Parker previously held the national record for the stock saw of 13.69. We know she's excellent in this discipline. Can she reclaim that national record? And we saw Marta Paletti competing in the women's competition in Rotterdam last weekend. Fantastic showing there, and as a guest competitor here, just to keep the training alive, Beth Parker getting things ready as she prepares herself for stock saw heat number 5.
Okay, warm up your saw. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Both quick up on the saw. Similar styles for both of these women as well. Marta Paletti with a nice transition on the upcut. She looks like she's going to have a good time. 12.62. Beth Parker struggling a little bit up on that upstroke, and it's a 16.30, uncharacteristic for her, and got a bit of an angle heading towards that top line, but it does look like we have 2 complete cookies and no cut over the line.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both girls are good.
Also, Marta Poletti managing to get a national record for Italy as well in the event here. So a 12:51, a good time for her. Justine Narusa at the moment holding down top spot with the national record. Very well done. As we take a look back at the slow-mo, it was a very good start for both of these women. Marta was just a hair faster on the upcut. I think maybe Beth was pulling a bit too hard on the saw and stalled the chain or slowed it down a bit too much. It's really about recognizing the vibrations in the saw, sounding, hearing the noise of the saw, and being able to determine if that's running clean and smooth. Both of them very similar styles in the way they cut as well. Nice finish there by Marta Poletti. And Beth was leaning back on it. I think maybe she had just a little bit too much pressure on that saw.
Yeah, these are the points and the standings after the first event, the stock saw. We'll go from third place there, Marta Poletti, 7 points. Libby Arrowsmith, a solid 8 points in second place. And the current leader, Justine Narusa, 9 points and a new British national record, a time of 11.92.
All right, so that's our first discipline out of the way, Alex. We've seen some great action on stage already. The wood is cutting well. It's cutting really nicely, and we've seen a bunch of personal bests, a couple of national records go down, and I think we're going to have a really good day. There's 2 more disciplines to come for our women. We have the single buck. That's the long, 2-meter long crosscut saw, super fun. And then we have the underhand chop to finish up the women's competition later on. Before that, though, we wanted to take a quick look at a video, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, taking a trip back in time, we knew the 60s were swinging in this country. 1966, Beatles were top of the charts, and a group of touring Australians introduced lumberjack sports to Great Britain. But if we take a step back even further, you'll see the story of timber sports around the world.
Expert woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
This is Thomas losing the loss that gets it. Look at this, Cormac is playing a great game of catch-up.
Our female athletes are preparing themselves backstage for our next event, the single buck. Now, Troy and I, we tried our hand at this post-event yesterday, and I still live to tell the tale. My arms and my shoulders are still shaking.
Yeah,
though.
they're mushy. Mine are, at least.
Let's have a look at this saw, the one they call the Misery Whip.
The 2-meter long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around €1,500. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc from a 40-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
This is our start list for the single buck and Troy. This is a draw that's been made pre-event to see who's in which heat.
Correct. It's a random draw, and it's the same way that they choose the wood. They have a lottery system for choosing the wood as well. So it tends to keep things fair. We also should mention that this is not a knockout system. This is about getting the fastest time possible to gain the most points, and then at the end of the competition, the most points is obviously for that one woman that is going to take the top spot on the podium.
Okay, so first up onto the stage, it's Martine Arrowsmith.
Again, it's a single athlete on stage. Martine will have to cut the single buck all by herself. Sometimes this can be an advantage. Dee, for instance, liked it. She likes being up there alone, and she doesn't have a problem with it. She's got enough energy and viv and zim and zoom that she can, build her own kind of competition in her head. Other athletes like to have the effect of another person on stage to push them along a little bit and make them work a bit harder. So we'll just see how Martine does here on her own on stage. I think that they're all very much focused on the job at hand here and are going to just do their very absolute best.
We see there, Troy, Martine just getting the saw into the wood to begin with, and that's permitted.
Yeah, it is permitted, and they're allowed to take it down to a certain depth, and you may have seen the small metal tool that was in Bart Jansen's hand. That is to check that the depth is fair, and it's the same for everybody, and this is also single buck with assistant. This is the first time we're seeing this
Stand
weekend.
to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Couple of deep breaths for Martine to get that saw started, and then she gets things going here and trying to get the saw continually moving on that block. This is the big part about the single buck, is to make sure that you don't stop it, you don't get hooked up, because that's when it gets to be a bit troublesome, and we can see that right away, a bit of a bad angle there for Martine, and it became a bit too sticky. This is a very, very difficult tool to move back and forth in that block if it does get stuck. That's why they called it the misery whip. Once she gets in a little bit farther, her assistant on stage will be allowed to place that wedge in the top of the block to make sure that the cookie that she's cutting off doesn't bind on the saw. She's getting close to the bottom of the cut now. Just needs to keep that saw moving, and the rhythm is there. She's got it cut off, and a personal best for Martine Arrowsmith with a 46.56. And I tell you what, folks, that is a lot of hard work right there. You know this now, Alex, as well.
Don't forget to breathe. It's the only advice I could give anyone in this event.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the cut's good.
So very nicely done by Martine Arrowsmith as she gets a time on the card here of 46.18 seconds and a personal best for her. And you can see she's definitely using the correct breathing technique. Pushing through, blowing out, pulling back, sucking air in to get that oxygen flowing through the body and make sure that the muscles don't bind up like ours did yesterday, Alex. Good final drop there of the cookie, and we move on to heat number 2.
Yeah, we have Beth Parker and Kat Eccles. Next up.
Martine has just set the bar at 46.18, and both Kat and Beth have times in the high 40s, 49.70 and 48.67. So as we've seen, the wood has been cutting well, and all of these women have been training to make sure that they are on point. We may see some good times here today. At least that's the wish. I'd like to see those personal bests drop. So Beth just getting her saw in place. You can see how long those raker and cutter teeth are. 10 centimeters long, 2 meter long saw. Very heavy piece of equipment. Small changes in the angle can absolutely be devastating. There you see Glenn Pendleton up there helping Beth with hers. Graham Turner on the other side getting Kat Eccles' saw set here. You can also see there's a bit of a gleam on the saw. Those saws will have been oiled. It's another thing to help the saw glide through.
Ready.
Stand to your timber.
Allowed in the
3, 2,
assistant
1, go!
Of the single bucket. Here we go. Kat Eccles getting right into it with great smooth long strokes, trying to really get that saw moving. Beth Parker struggling to get it started here. I know exactly how she feels.
Kat is really motoring now.
Yeah, she got a little bit of a sticky one there, and she started to short chop or shortcut there on that 2-meter long saw. The best option is to try and use the entire length of the saw. It's a difficult thing to do, though, and Kat Eccles with a great
Sensational.
time. 30.54. Wow, that is a great improvement for Kat. Going from the high 40s into the 30s now. Beth Parker having a bit of trouble on this one as she is still working hard to try and get it going. But that saw angle just keeps changing on her, and that just causes a ton of problems, and she's really struggling here. She's got lots of support from the people in the audience for sure. But it just wasn't her day, and she has gone past the time limit, is exceeded. So it is going to be a DQ for her, but she is a fighter. She wants to keep going through that block. And she is going to be stopped by Bart Janssen, unfortunately, so that is going to be a disqualification for Beth Parker there. That's too bad. I was really hoping to see personal best for both of these women on stage.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand 1, DQ, out of time, stand 2 is good.
So some quick fixes on stage. They'll reset the line of the block, and we'll take a look back at what happened here in this run. Now, it looked to be both of the women were trying to shortcut to start the saw on the top, but Kat Eccles just managed to keep the flow going a little bit better. She was digging her elbow right in there, pushing through straight on that, and just kept that saw moving. And that's so important, is to make sure you keep it moving. If it gets stuck like that, it's so hard to restart it, especially if the whole blade starts to bend and bow. And we did see that with Kat near the bottom of her cut, but she did a great job. Her assistant, Graham Turner, wasn't doing much to help her out with the wedge at the top, to be quite honest, so we'll have to talk to him about that later. But she did a good job anyway.
I'll let you tell, Graham.
Yeah, he's a little bit bigger than I am.
All right, folks, here we go with Heat 3 of our single buck saw. Sarah Cox and Zoe Penlington.
Couple of women that are evenly matched up in the tail of the tape, mid-30s. So Zoe needs a redemption cut here after a DQ in the stock saw. Last minute adjustments to make sure that saw is in straight, and then she will set her line. And her brother Glenn up there giving her guidance and help in setting it. Meanwhile, Sarah Cox seems to be pretty well ready to go as she's got her line and position set. Zoe marking out her steps as we get ready to go for heat number 3 in single buck with assistant.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, very nice start by Zoe Penlington, straight away getting into those smooth long cuts. It was a bit of a sticky start by Sarah Cox, but she does have that saw moving now. And look at the determination and focus on Zoe's face. Couple of sticky ones by Sarah as she tries to keep that saw going, and now it's really binding on both of them here.
This is Zoe firmly on the comeback trail, though.
This is looking like it's going to be a good time for Zoe as well, as she's through in a personal best. 28.09, fantastic. Sarah struggling on the last couple of cuts, and she's also got a personal best, 33.41. And you know she can go faster. Both of them can. It was a couple of sticky moments for Sarah in that one, and she still managed to get a personal best, which was fantastic. But that is a lovely cut by Zoe Penlington, fastest of the day so far, and that puts her firmly on top of single buck at the moment.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Both smiling as well. That's what we want to see.
And Zoe definitely needed that after the stock saw, so she's got one more opportunity to gain some points here in the underhand chop. Let's take a look back at what happened. Now Zoe got that saw moving nice and clean. And you can see there's no angle changes at all for Zoe there. A slight angle change, and with those big teeth, it stops the saw so quickly.
This is a slow-mo replay, and even that looked fast.
Yeah, well, for our standards, definitely. And there you can see Sarah digging in deep, trying to get those last long strokes. And you really want to try and use that saw as efficiently as possible. And a nice wedge from Glenn to help his sister out to get the last cut down in here. It could have been a second and a half faster for Sarah. It's just the last little sticky saw part on that misery whip, and there you go.
Next to the stands, Libby Arrowsmith and Dee Hardwick. Let's not forget as well, Troy, Libby, 16 years old.
We're seeing this a lot more, where there's fantastic young athletes coming into the sport and showing a real penchant for being able to do well right off the hop. And, you know, it sometimes can be down to fitness and could be natural ability, but also if it's in the family, it's in the family. And we know that Libby's mom is also participating, and she did a great cut earlier on in the stock saw. And she started things off in the single buck for us with a nice personal best. So Dee Hardwick now up against Libby Arrowsmith in heat number 4.
Dee's such an all-rounder. She's played rugby union for over 20 years. She's done stand-up comedy.
That jibes. With all that energy, I wouldn't be at all surprised if she was super funny on stage. Last adjustments by Libby there. Block is marked.
This is where the serious stuff starts, though, now.
The heartbeat music being piped out from Baz.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, bit of a sticky start there by Dee Hardwick, but she's got it moving. Libby Arrowsmith kept it smooth and clean up to that point right there, and she also started to get a bit sticky too. Again, these are very difficult saws. Small angle changes in the way that it goes through the block will stop that saw dead in its tracks. It's so hard to move once it stops. And both of them about the halfway point. Dee a little bit farther along as she seems to have the flow, but then also gets caught up a couple of times. That wedge is in place though, and she's got it through in 33.87.
Love it.
Super excited. And Libby Arrowsmith with a 38.52. 2 very good times and personal best for both of these women. And so far, it's personal best across the board for our single buck Sawyers.
Dee's going to take the roof off here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Yes, Libby. Yes, Dee. It's exactly what I want to see here today. Troy, that start, you know, talk us through the start. It's the pull first. Is that to get the rest of the saw back?
Well, it's the big question I had for a few of the athletes yesterday. Does anybody actually start with the push? And most everybody said resoundingly no. because the pull is a much easier way to start this saw, and then you can just make sure you keep the angle flat. Now you can see there, small angle changes in the saw for Dee caused that thing to stop right away, but then she managed to get the flow back, and so was super excited about finishing it off in a good time and getting a personal best. And there you can see Libby, she's got a nice thin cookie as well, so she started pretty close to the edge. There is a risk if you're too close to the edge, though, with a super thin cookie. It doesn't bind as much on the saw, but if you get down to the bottom and twist the saw slightly, you could break the cookie off, and then you have to reposition and cut the tab off in order for it to be a complete cut.
This is the last heat in the single buck, and it's Justine Narusa and Marta Poletti.
Now, Justine Narusa is the current national record holder for single buck. She is very solid in this discipline. Gingerly walking across stage, you can see she's wearing spiked shoes, and the spikes on the shoes, we've seen a couple of athletes up there with the spikes on there, and that is in order to provide a little bit more traction on the deck so that they can really put everything into the cuts up top. Marta Poletti, our guest competitor today from Italy. And what we're seeing as well in a lot of the other European nations, Italy, Switzerland, Germany, there's many more women starting to compete, which is great. And I believe we're getting close to having our first official Women's World Championship. Up until this point, it's been International Women's Cup, but I think they can't avoid it anymore. And we're not far away from having an International Women's World Championship, because there are just too many fantastic women competing in the sport, and we're seeing some of them here today. So left-hand side of your screen, Justine Narusa.
Okay.
Right-hand side of your screen, Marta
Athletes
Poletti.
ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So two completely different styles of starting. Marta Poletti opting for the long strokes. Justine Narusa starts quick, short strokes at the top, and then starts to get that saw moving as quickly on the long strokes as she can through the block. Marta Poletti still working hard. Justine Narusa almost at the bottom of this one. It's not going to be a national record for her this time, but it's a good time, and that puts her atop the leaderboard in single buck with a 22.70. Marta Poletti, her previous best time was 27:01. She's gone quite far past that this time with a little bit of a sticky saw there today for a 37.82, and that has her in 6th position in single buck.
So we await Judge Bart's final confirmation.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, it's official. Both cuts are good. Justine Narusa, not her fastest time, but still a good time today with 22:49. We'll take a quick look back, and you can see the two different starting styles here. Marta going for those long strokes, a couple of short strokes for Justine to get started, and then she went into the long cuts. Now, you can see here, Marta struggling a little bit, and this is where Justine started to get the long strokes, but a little angle change, and we talk about that so often, just stopped the saw for her, and that could have been the difference of those 2 seconds at the bottom of the cut when she cut through this last little bit of wood. It's a good job by both of these women, but right now, Justine Narusa is atop the single buck results, and if we look at the overall standings, she's also in the lead after two really fine efforts, with a win in stock saw and a win in the single buck. So she is making a statement here.
Absolutely, Troy. Justine has laid down a marker to the rest of the chasing pack.
Zoe Penlington doing a fantastic job, though, with that second place in the single buck. She's going to need a very good cut in the underhand chop, though, if she wants to move Kat Eccles out of that second spot or get anywhere near the top here. So let's take a look at that overall standings.
Yeah, Justine, a win in both our events. One more event to go. Kat Eccles hot on her heels, 13 points, and Marta Paletti and Libby Arrowsmith both with 11 points. Three main components of timber sports: the athletes, the equipment, and of course, the wood. Let's see how our premium wood is managed.
STIHL Timbersports is an international extreme sports competition series featuring 6 disciplines: 3 chopping and 3 sawing. We have a premier competition, we need premier wood. The biggest challenges that I face as part of my role is to ensure that our competitions are supplied with the highest quality wood.
Each individual tree is examined for its conformation before processing. We need to make it fair for all athletes. So we are selecting different sections of the trees to use for each of our specific disciplines.
Once the trees are felled, extracted and transported to our facilities, we measure, mark and then cut the wood into sized blocks. We then peel the blocks ready for competition. After careful selection, the blocks then leave our yard and are distributed internationally to our STIHL Timbersports competitions.
Okay, Troy, final event time. Bringing the axes back out to play for the underhand chop. I'd also say, watch your feet with this one.
Absolutely.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
This is our start list for our final event in our second ever British Women's Championship 2023. Who is going to take the ultimate prize away? Heat 1 will be Kat Eccles up first. And then we have 4 further heats before we crown our women's champion.
Beautiful view of our audience there. You can see young Archie, who's a total fan, out in the audience as well, wearing his protective helmet and visor and ear pads, and he's got himself a saw. So I like to see those young kids, maybe the future stars of timber sports down the road. Who knows?
I mean, we're seeing 16-year-old Libby Arrowsmith handling a 2-meter saw and a chainsaw.
Yeah, fantastic.
With a
well done. So Kat Eccles will be alone on stage. Now, of all the disciplines, I would think you would want to have a second competitor on stage. This is the one. It's difficult because you don't hear the hits from the other side of the stage. You don't feel the pressure from the other athlete on the stage. And like I said, it's not a knockout system here, but still, in this particular discipline, if it were me, I would want to know that there's somebody else up there that I have to battle against in order to improve my time. Now you can also see that Kat took 2 axes out with her. That is in case something happens with the first axe, or if she doesn't like the way it's
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start from Kat, getting a couple of big drivers in on each side there, trying to chip out. Nice chips coming away. The point here is to try and be as accurate as you possibly can. You can see she's cutting on the same line almost every time. On the right side, definitely cleaner than on the left side there. Everybody's got their chocolate side though, but Kat looking quite good on the block right now, as she's gotten deep on the first side, and she'll step around to the other side shortly. She'll want to chip this out. Just the last couple of drivers here before she splits to the other side. You can see these small changes in the level that she's hitting at as well. Up high, then down low 2 times, and then she'll move to the other side. There we go, stepping around to the other side, and we get the front view as she gets 2 drivers in on each side and tries to get some of that material away. Doing very good job. Bit of a shallower cut there than on the backside, and she's looking good as she just nears the minute mark here for the underhand chop. At the moment, Zoe Penlington holding the current women's record for Great Britain at 1:12.25. Kat Eccles looking to try and improve on that. It's not going to happen today, but she's getting close to splitting that block, and there it goes. Nicely done. She's got herself a personal best, though, with 1:15.51, and she's pleased with that. Well done for Kat Eccles.
Yeah, Kat is our second-placed athlete right now. She's going to want the full points, though, with the championship on the line.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the cut's good.
All right, and again, a personal best. So this is just amazing to see so far today. We've seen personal bests across the board for nearly all of our athletes. And that tells you one thing, and that means that there's improvement every time they step out onto the stage.
Yeah. Kat's been training hard, really hard in the lead up to this event. I know so much so that back home in Ayrshire, she's been training in her back garden. She's pushed her son Brody's paddling pool out of the way and got the axe out to go hammer and tongs at the logs in her back garden.
Yeah, good on her. You could also see that she's wearing very, very soft shoes. We have this discussion quite often, just to assure you folks out there that the shoes that she's wearing underneath, she does have protective chainmail socks. It is a requirement. If you do not wear those chainmail socks, or if you've forgotten them for whatever reason, that is grounds for a disqualification.
So we now welcome on Martine Arrowsmith and Beth Parker.
And again, the grounds, or the reason why they have the softer shoes, is better grip and agility on the top of that block. Now you can also see there are footholds cut into the block. If we get an angle there, you can see the block is rounded through the middle, and there are footholds. The lines that are marked on the block for Beth Parker, there you can see if she cuts into the foothold, this is also disqualifiable impact. So we'll see how it goes.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, both of them getting into it. Some nice drivers. Let's see who chips out first here. Looks like it's going to be Martine Arrowsmith. Beth Parker still trying to find that first chip out of her block on the first side. There it goes. Nice accuracy, though, for Beth Parker, as she's got some smooth sides there. Martine looking to try and get some more material out on that first side as we get to the 30-second mark. Let's see who will move over to the other side first. And you can see smooth sides, more or less, for Beth Parker, as she's got some really good, accurate drivers. And that's important. You want to be as accurate as you possibly can, because you don't want to start cutting new material. Well done by Beth to knock a little piece of wood off of her axe. You've got to be real careful in those situations that you don't get your fingers near the axe edge, though, because that will cut your finger badly. We did see this at the Champions Trophy, or the World Trophy, last year in Vienna, where an athlete ran up to pick up the axe and just grazed the blade and cut his finger quite badly. So these are very, very sharp instruments here. Martine Arrowsmith over to the second side of her block now as we get to the 117 mark. Beth Parker yet to move over as Martine starts working on her second side. I believe the time limit is 2 minutes for underhand chop. 1:30, excuse me. So unfortunately for Martine Arrowsmith and Beth Parker, they did exceed the time. So 1 minute and 30. And that means we have DQs for both of these women.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Time succeeded, time limit. So DQ, out of time.
We can see here, both of our women got started quite well. Nice, accurate drivers, good power going into the block. A couple of sticky axes, but it wasn't too bad. You can see Martine started cutting some new material there as the accuracy on the right side of her block wasn't as good as on the left. Now, Beth had really good accuracy throughout both sides of her cut, but the power just wasn't there. And you can see Martine has plenty of power going into that first side, getting deep. She was first over to the second side, and unfortunately, you could see right there, she had to wedge the axe out. It got stuck in a bit too deep, and that caused a little bit of a time delay, and therefore we reached the 1 minute 30 mark and have our DQs for those two women that were just on stage.
Troy, sustainability can be seen as a bit of a buzzword for a lot of companies, but
Very
I know
much so.
STIHL particularly take it very, very seriously. A lot of the wood is recycled, repurposed, used again.
Yep. They have, it's a big deal for us to make sure that we're not just throwing this wood away, and we do reuse the wood. There's a lot of wood that we see on stage being chucked into a skip, and a lot of sawdust and those big chips. It's all used, and let's take a quick look at how we're going to use that wood and what we're doing with it.
We as STIHL Timbersports pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
So we've had a little block change on stage, and we are ready for heat 3 of the underhand shot. We've got Dee Hardwick and Sarah Cox.
Our athletes coming out onto stage now. I forgot to turn my mic on. And again, this is a discipline that requires power, accuracy, and endurance. Now, we've seen our women participating in demonstrations for timber sports for many years, but last year was the first time in Great Britain where there was actually a women's British champion crown. That was Zoe Penlington. She's doing her best today to try and get back to that top spot, but it's going to be an uphill battle as we've seen. There's some fantastic
Stand to
athletes
your
out there
timber.
today. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
So Sarah Cox in this view on the left-hand side of your screen, getting into those first couple of drivers right away, chipping out nicely. Dee Hardwick still waiting for that first chip to fly from her block. We want to make sure that wood gets out of there quickly so that they can get onto the new stuff and clean it out as fast as possible. Nice clean drivers by Sarah Cox. Dee Hardwick there in the white shoes. She's also got some nice clean drivers, very accurate hits there, and you can see she's cleaning that out very nicely. Let's see who's going to be moving over to the other side of the block first. Will it be Dee Hardwick on the left-hand side of your screen or Sarah Cox on the right? Both of them cutting nicely today. There's some clean cuts there by Sarah Cox as well. It's going to be Dee Hardwick gingerly moving over to the other side, and she'll start on the second side of her block right away, driving power into that block. Just coming up on the 1 minute mark, looking good for both of these women. It's now about getting through that second side quickly. Sarah Cox about 8-9 drivers behind Dee Hardwick on the second side. There's a chip ready to fly, and there it goes.
20 seconds.
So Dee is getting close. It's coming close for her. You can hear there's plenty of support from the people in the background. You might even hear that on our live stream as it's winding down the time. Are we going to have a time here for either one of these women? No, unfortunately not. And Dee Hardwick doesn't want to give up. Oh, she's just through. She did it anyway, and she doesn't care. She beat that log, and she wants everybody to know it, and it's true. That's the fighting spirit right there. She did not want to give up. And it was 2-3 strokes just to get through that block. Unfortunately, she did them after the time was exceeded.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, both DQ out of time.
Dee was not going home to Redditch without finishing that log off.
Yeah, she was not. She was having a hate on for that log, is what you could say.
It's what you call a completer finisher.
I mean,
still letting off steam now.
Yeah, both of them really started well, doing a great job. I mean, their cuts were accurate. Just a little bit of power missing there.
That pesky clock.
There, that pesky clock. It's always a problem.
That wood's looking a little dark in there.
A little bit dark. Can sometimes indicate a fair amount of moisture. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, though. Those a moist log will cut well as well. And there you see Dee. Even though she got the DQ, she was happy to get through that block. This should be an interesting combo here, heat number 4, with Justine Narusa and Zoe Penlington coming up on the stage. They'll be getting on the blocks. Both of them have personal best just above 110, so 113 and 112 respectively. It's underhand chop from Zoe Penlington from last year. 112.25 is the current national record for women.
And this is Zoe, our reigning champ's preferred event. Great tradition of choppers in the family as well.
Yes, absolutely. The whole family is involved deeply.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And right away you could see between these two that they are quick with the axe in hand. Zoe Penlington on the left-hand side of your screen right now, Justine Narusa on the right. And that's a nice big slab coming out for Zoe as she is quick and accurate with that axe. A little bit of a new cut there, but that's no big deal. She's working it hard. She's going to try and improve on her time here today. She got plenty of support from the audience in the background. Justine Narusa, a little bit of salad there on her block, but she's deciding to move over to the other side and start working the second side. As she observed what happened to the other women on stage, she doesn't want that to happen to her either. Zoe now moving to the second side, and both of them looking quite good as we narrow on to the 45-second mark. It's a quick run for both of these women so far. Justine Narusa now looking at her on the left-hand side of the stage. Zoe Penlington on the right. Looks like it could be getting close for both of them. 1 minute mark. Are we going to have some fast times here today? Justine's got it. A 104.33, a national record for Justine Narusa, and a personal best for Zoe Penlington. Very, very nicely done. Both of them needed that. None more than Zoe with a fantastic run through, and she improved on her time, and she is currently sitting in second place in the underhand chop. But Justine Narusa with a 1:05.49, a national record for her. She's going to be proud with that one.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so we'll take a look back at the slow-mos here, and that was some nice chipping coming out. See Zoe there doing her best, and her time was very good. I mean, she cut through well. Justine was just a little bit faster. There, our overhead onstage camera, and you can see the power and effort that goes into each of those drivers from these two women doing a great job. And you can see right there, it was wiggling and waggling, and Justine Narusa got through there just ahead, about 2 strokes ahead of Zoe Penlington. And unbelievably, she almost seemed disappointed with having a national record. Improvements across the board for our women, though, which is fantastic. Love to see that. Personal best and national records went in the last heat there. We've got one more heat to come. But before that, we want to take a look back at a clip from yesterday where we had a repeat offender on stage.
I've been training really hard this year. I want to come back and retain my title from last year. But I know the likes of Graham and Rob Chatley coming back into it are going to be hot on my heels.
Last year I finished second. I was pleased with the result, but this year I'm hoping to go one better. So the British Championships is 6 disciplines. Starts off with the underhand, the stock saw and the standing block. And at that point, 4 people get knocked out. From there, 8 people move through to the next round, the single buck and springboard. And then there's 6 then go through to the hot saw. It's all about the hot saw.
I'm friends with everyone in the competition, but friendship's got to be pushed to one side for the championships because I really want to get that title back.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Great British Steel GB Pro Championship.
Rob Chatley was the British champion in 2014. Will he be the comeback king? Glenn Penlington and Graham Turner, 1st and 2nd place respectively last year. These 2 guys are going to be going hard to try and take that top spot of the podium. Unbelievable! That's a new national record right there.
This competition is really hotting up.
Oh, it's got to be careful here. We're getting close to the cutoff time.
That is a phenomenal performance, and it all comes down to this very moment.
Our 2023 champion, once again, Mr. Glenn Penlington.
You know, being able to win it 2 years in a row, you know, having that confidence to come back and do it again, it's a fantastic feeling. I'm sure we'll have a few beers tonight and a little bit of a party. There's no doubt about that.
Great highlights from our competition yesterday, and we're joined by the champ himself, our 2023 men's champion, Mr. Glenn Penlington. Glenn, how was it feeling winning yesterday and repeating your feat from last year?
Yeah, it's great to repeat it and be able to come back and regain my title. You know, the pressure was on yesterday, but I managed to pull it out of the bag.
You say the pressure was on now. You had everyone's heart in the mouths with the hot saw right at the very end, getting that thing going. But you remain calm. You were telling me, look, you just got to put all that out the side and just concentrate.
Yeah, you know, there's always something with the hot saw with me. It's a bit of a running joke. My poor mum, I put her through it again. But yeah, I just had to keep my head and try and just you know, remain focused. And luckily, it started for me, and I'm able to pull out a PB as well.
Yeah, now we're making history today, and we did last year with our first ever women's championships here in Malvern. Your sister is the current reigning champ, and just wanted to ask you, Glenn, you've been up on stage, you've seen massive improvements across today.
Yeah, it's great to see all those women up there. They're all pulling out PBs. It's great to see even more women than last year competing. You know, yeah, Zoe's going to, she's there trying to regain her title. Might not happen for her today, but it's great to see her put in a good performance and getting a PB in the underhand there, and also all those other women as well.
Yeah, and it's all eyes on Stuttgart for yourself now in November. What's to come?
That's it, yeah. So there's Stuttgart. Hopefully I can get in and qualify for the individuals. Also push for that team as well. We had a good team result last year, so hopefully we can go better. And yeah, I've got the European trophy to work for as well now.
Yeah, we wish you all the very best. Thanks for talking to us, Glenn Penlington. So we're going to move on with our next heat, the final heat, Heat 5 of the underhand chop. It sees Libby Arrowsmith and Marta Paletti. What was it?
All right, there we see Libby Aerosmith, who we've seen already today. Great performances on stage as she sets her backup axe in position, and she'll choose her favorite instrument to start work. And Marta Poletti practicing her turnaround. As I mentioned, Marta was competing at the Rotterdam event in the Women's World Championship, or the International Women's Cup. Like I mentioned, hopefully we're going to have a World Championship for the women coming up shortly. But that is beside the point. We have a heat to go here.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Libby Aerosmith getting in there right away. Marta Poletti. Both of them seem to be quite in sync with each other on the drivers here. Libby looking good with a little bit of a faster stroke speed than Marta. Marta, good accuracy on her drivers. Got a bit stuck in there as she had to yank that axe out of the block. Plenty of power there from Libby, though, as she's getting deep on that first side, and she'll switch over to the other side fairly quickly, I think. And Marta Poletti has already decided to go over to the second side. Those are some nice, clean hits on the second side for Marta. It's looking very good for both of these women. Could we see another record go down the drain here today? Libby looking fantastic on her second side. Marta Poletti gets a national record for Italy with a 45-31 underhand. And Libby Aerosmith is not that far away either. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new national record under a minute by Libby Aerosmith. This is a fantastic performance by this 16-year-old woman. Absolutely incredible. That mixes things up quite significantly here in the overall standings. What an interesting turn of events, as Libby Aerosmith has, just as they say here, put a cat in the pigeon house.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both girls are good.
That was an amazing heat right there, and there was a lot of adrenaline on that stage between these two women. Let's take a look back. Absolutely fantastic initial drivers from both Libby and Marta, as they just got in some clean, big chips out of those blocks. You can see here, Libby not as accurate as Marta, but throwing in the power and some pieces that come flying off of that block on the second side. You can see the difference here. The accuracy of Marta played a big role in getting her through there fast and having that national record for Italy in the bag. And the power of Libby, and boy, I tell you what, when Libby gets that accuracy right down, she is going to be killing it in these chopping disciplines. That is an unbelievable underhand chop for Libby right there. Fantastic job, and a new national record. So let's take a look at this. Marta Poletti, our guest athlete, with a 44.93 after adjustment, takes the full 9 points there. National record for her in Italy. And Libby Aerosmith, the new national record holder, under a minute with 54.39. 8 points for her. We're going to send Alex up to the main stage for our award ceremony shortly. And as we'll take a quick look, I believe, at the overall standings, that fantastic speedy time from Libby Aerosmith has really shaken things up. Let's have a look. So Justine Narusa is your winner here today. Marta Poletti in second place. Libby Aerosmith with a huge jump up the rankings into third place will take the bronze medal on stage today. Kat Eccles, Zoe Penlington, Sarah Cox, Dee Hardwick, Martine Aerosmith, and Beth Parker rounding it out, the remaining 4 through 9 positions. What an amazing day of STIHL Timbersports actions here at the British Women's Championship 2023. That was what it's all about. So let's head on up to our main stage, where Alex is about ready to introduce our women on stage, including our top 3 athletes at the awards ceremony.
Thank you very much, Troy, and thank you everyone here in Malvern for joining us today for our Great British Women's Championship of 2023. Thank you everyone watching with us on our live stream on YouTube as well. Now, let's bring out our athletes for our prize-giving ceremony. First up, in 9th place today, Please give it up for Beth Parker. 8th place, Martine Arrowsmith. In 7th place, I'm bringing the party as ever, Dee Hardwick. 6th place, Sarah Cox. In 5th place, Zoe Penlington. 4th place, Kat Eccles. And now for our podium finishers. I'm presenting today's medals. Simon Hewitt, the head of marketing for STIHL GB. In 3rd place, Libby Arrowsmith. Our runner-up in 2nd place, Marta Poletti. And our new champion, Justine Narusa. Stand by for the champagne. Confirmation once again of our champion, Justine Narusa.
Marta was looking a little bit nervous there with the whole opening of the bottle, still struggling with it. Come on, Marta, open that bottle up and spray.
Just warming up a chainsaw.
Now we got it. Alex, I think it's safe to say that they'll get more practice at that in the future.
Yeah, hopefully try. I'm going to try and talk to Justine in a second. As long as I don't get covered in champagne. Worried that Marta's still got some left. Justine, come and talk to us, please. Our new champion. Congratulations to you. Talk us through what it took today to get that medal around your neck as our winner.
Hard work, being persistent, putting the hours in, just shopping, sewing, diet, 6 o'clock runs, family pushing me, supporting me, keeping up with me. So, yeah, and obviously the team, the girls, they've been fantastic. So, yeah, amazing.
You've got family here today with you in the crowd. Anything you'd like to say to them, Justine?
Okay, dinner is on me then.
Wonderful. Listen, you've been a true champion today. Trailblazers, every single one of you. Congratulations. And the hard work starts again now for next year. But enjoy your lovely Sunday with us. Wait, what's the plan next?
In 2 weeks, I'm going to Italy. I will be literally alongside with Marta competing in the Italy Women's Championship. So, and then Sweden a little bit later on. So plenty of things coming.
Yeah, well, you can pack your bags, go there as our champion. Congratulations once again to you, Justine. All the best. Okay, Troy, wrap us up, please, my good man.
Well, that's some motivation heading to a couple of other tournaments around the world here. Fantastic. It's been an amazing day for our British Women's Championship 2023. Definitely, we're seeing some fantastic athletes coming this way and on the horizon with records dropping left, right, and center for us today. Lots more action to come. Join us on the stream later on as we will have the rookies racing. Until then, thanks for joining us. Ciao.